Hi, it's Dalene with Networking Naturally. The power of small, consistent actions. How 600 words changed everything for me. Think about that. That may sound like a lot to you, but when you really read a couple paragraphs, 600 words doesn't take long at all. Where does the time go? It's hard to believe that just 1 year ago, I was on a plane to Austin, Texas for a Clarity Weekend with the incredible Sam Horn of the Intrigue Agency. Looking back now, I can say without hesitation that those 3 days changed the trajectory of how I think, write, and show up in my business and in my life. I'd followed Sam work for years. Like many people, I'd watched her talks, read her insights, and quietly wondered what it would be like to learn from her in person. So when she announced a small number of in-home Clarity weekends, I did not hesitate. I was the first one that signed up, and I signed up right away, and I'm so glad I did. It was a different kind of learning experience. There's something very different about learning in somebody's home. It's not just information, it's about immersion. It's about being present, having honest conversations, and being surrounded by a dozen incredible women who are also committed to growth. The women in that room were incredible. I was just so excited to be in Sam Horn's presence. Doctors, leadership coaches, trailblazers in their own fields, people with remarkable careers and even more remarkable perspectives. And I will be honest, imposter syndrome showed up in a really big way. It is hard not to compare yourself when you're surrounded by people doing such meaningful work. But what stood out most was how quickly that feeling shifted. First, they all asked me to teach them how to network. Isn't that interesting? It's not a comfort zone for many people. So instead of comparison, there truly was connection. We all came from different paths, but we shared something important. We were all building something that mattered to us, passion projects. That common ground created an environment of support, curiosity, and most important, encouragement. And we've stayed connected. The gift of clarity. One of the things I admire most about Sam Horn is her ability to simplify. I call her a word wizard, and I stand by that. She has a gift for taking complex ideas, shaping them into something clear, concise, and impactful. As someone who is dyslexic and often feels like I have 50 thoughts happening at once, that skill felt almost magical. Clarity is not just about writing. It's about thinking. It's about communication. It's about helping others understand what you do and why it matters. And that is something every business owner needs. Have you got the perfect pitch? Something where people go, oh, tell me more. That's what Sam does. The challenge that changed everything. Before I left Austin, I asked Sam for something simple but practical. I said, give me a challenge, something I could take home and actually do. Her answers were straightforward. Write 600-word social media post every week. That was it. Not complicated, not overwhelming, just 600 words. And I have done that faithfully since the first weekend of April in 2025. At that time, it felt small, it felt manageable, it felt like something I could actually commit to. And that's exactly why it worked. If you read Atomic Habits, I needed a system once a week, 600 words. Some weeks I wrote 3 or 4. Some weeks I had a hard time writing one. I think there was one time when I actually wrote 10 at one time. Like I said, too many tabs open in my brain. Why small works? We often think we need to take big steps to create big results. Is one of the things Sam said at the Clarity Weekend. I want to see you all write a book. Asked me if I was on the VOV goal, verge of vomiting. You bet. Write a book, build a brand, launch something new. But the truth is, those big outcomes are almost always built through small, consistent actions over time. If someone had told me to go home and write a book, I've likely been overwhelmed. I probably would have never started. But 600 words, okay, that felt doable. And I started. And week by week, those 600 words added up. What began as simple posts turned into content I could share. Then those same posts became videos on a YouTube channel. And now they're being organized into chapters of my first book, all from one simple, one small weekly commitment. The, com- the compounding effect of consistency. Consistency, let me tell you, I learned that early on in my business, my first business. The more consistent I am, the more my results, the smarter I work, the luckier I get. Consistency has a way of creating that magical word momentum. At first, you're just showing up, writing a post, sharing a thought, putting something out into the world. But over time, something shifts. You start to build confidence. People actually engage and listen. You start to find your voice. You start to see how your ideas connect with people. And before you know it, you've created something bigger than you expected. That is the power of small, consistent actions. And I call myself the queen of little things. It's not about doing everything at once. It's about doing something meaningful over and over again. Again, the queen of little things. The experience reminded me why being the queen of little things matters so much. It's easy to overlook the small actions because they do not feel impressive in the moment. But those are the very actions that build trust, visibility, and growth over time. I have this thing at the end of day. Just do one more follow-up. Just do one more thoughtful comment to somebody. Just one more like, share, comment, at least 5 words on someone's post. Try to make a difference in other people's lives, like I wish that they would do for me. None of these feel like big moves, but together they create the relationships that enhance our life. In networking and in business, it's often the little things that will make the biggest difference. If you are feeling stuck or overwhelmed right now, let this be your reminder. You do not need to do everything. You just need to start with something small and stay consistent. That could be writing a short post each week, reaching out to one new connection a day, 5 days a week, 4 weeks in a month. That's 20 a month over the run of 6 months. That's 120 new connections. Are they all going to become trusted relationships? No. But if you work on the 80-20 rule, that could be 24 new clients. Think about that. Small steps create magic and momentum. And momentum creates the results and fills the sales funnel based on not transactional, but transformational because of the relationships you are building. The impact of the right room. Another lesson that stayed with me is the importance of being in the right room. The environment you choose matters. Who you surround yourself with matters. The conversations you have matter. Being in a space where people are thinking differently, challenging ideas, and supporting growth can change how you see your own work. That weekend in Austin was not just about learning from Sam. It was about being part of a community that encouraged clarity, confidence, and action. And that is something I will always value. In fact, it was priceless. If you're not familiar with Sam Horn's work, I highly recommend exploring it. Her ability to bring clarity to ideas, messaging, and communication is something I'm deeply grateful for. It's influenced not only how I write, but how I connect with people. And after 1 year of writing 600-word posts, I have now written more than 32,000 words. And the average first book for a person is between 40,000 and 60,000 words. So writing 600 words a week, imagine if I did 600 a day, even 5 days a week. Okay. See, at one time I would have said, couldn't do that. Now it's like, once you start doing something, it's like, I can't stop writing. It's amazing. Keep building real connections. Think like Warren Buffett, play the long game. At the end of the day, whether it is writing, networking, or growing your business, it all comes down to one thing: connection. If you would like more ideas on how to build your business through simple, consistent actions and meaningful relationships, I'd love to stay connected. I truly believe that everybody's got a story, and I would love to hear yours. I've got a great my Networking Naturally podcast, also networking tips, and my podcast is now on video on YouTube as well. And I do produce a monthly newsletter. I do a lot of online and in-person events. I reside in Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada, east coast of Canada, surrounded by the beautiful ocean. And I would love to meet you and have you learn more about this beautiful place where I live. Have a great day. Make that one new connection a day.